A happy Friday to you. This Vermont Utility Outlook is valid the rest of today, Friday, through next week into Thanksgiving Day, Thursday. Well, with most unsettled weather now behind us, remarkably quiet weather is ahead. A couple flying the ointments there, but generally pre-Thanksgiving period, we're looking at very, very dry conditions, and most of the active weather systems will stay away from our region, guarded by high pressure over the northeast U.S. The fringe effects of an area of low pressure will track just a little to the north of our region through Quebec, and this could swing in a cold front and some blustery conditions along with a few flurries possible. The coldest weather of the fall season so far will move in for the early part of next week, but nothing that I would consider extreme at this point. Generally good project weather is going to be with us. And currently we have a area of low pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere, kind of the driver, if you will. And this is circulating colder air and some smaller disturbances you can see here moving across the Great Lakes. This is not going to affect us. This is another weather system coming out of the Rocky Mountains, and this will sort of develop and be a problem for some areas in the upper Midwest and then track into basically Ontario. Let's take a look at the computer weather maps. So this is the cold frontal system along with its precipitation working on out of the region here. And as you can see, colder air does work in aloft with those bluer, slightly dashed lines showing lower thicknesses in the atmosphere, indicating the colder air aloft. But really not a whole lot going on. This is valid now Saturday morning. This is an area of low pressure that's going to be problematic for places like Chicago. A major hub for airports, obviously, is going to have ripple effects pretty much region-wide. But this is going to lay down a swath of snow, and then it's going to track up into portions of Ontario and eventually Quebec. This is the run, and this is the weather system that is going to be off to the north and west of us, and then swinging in colder air with a cold front. And you can see there's hardly anything that's going to be affecting us. There could be some flurries along our local mountains, but some blustery conditions, but nothing of any too great consequences, it looks right now. On Sunday, we could see some marginal wind gusts, maybe approaching 40 miles per hour in a few spots. Then high pressure builds in weakly at first and then begins to strengthen. And you can see this area of higher pressure across a wide area all the way stretching in from really almost the Canadian Maritimes, parts of Quebec, and then back into the general Midwest, Ohio River Valley. And that area of higher pressure only strengthens, and it looks like it hangs around right through Thanksgiving Day. This is roughly about 7 o'clock in the morning on Thanksgiving Day. This is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we still have a very strong ridge of higher pressure controlling our weather. Pretty good shot of colder air does work into the American West and parts of the upper Midwest, and some return flow coming in around this area of higher pressure. The other curious little thing is we have what could be an extratropical low or maybe even a tropical depression that could be flirting with Bermuda and try to make a run toward Florida. Just to extend that out here, you can see this weather pattern, which is a little bit different for this time of year. Can't recall seeing too many of these kind of weather systems try to track up toward the East Coast. But this is something we'll have to watch way down the road a piece, probably of really no big consequences. Now, our only real major concern is for some winds that will be blowing in swinging around this area of low pressure. You can see these wind gusts here in the green, and anything over the lighter greens is what we really have concern about. You can see the eastern end of Lake Erie has some wind gusts probably over 50 miles an hour, 50 knots indicated there. And they try to approach it and come across parts of upstate New York and then kind of swing through and then really kind of die out. So nothing of any particular worry here. It's fringe effects. Something we'll have to watch. Again, all of this being for, it looks like the target time for this really for Sunday afternoon. And we have something to watch for 6-hour snowfall. You can see this gets into the Chicago area, running about 2 to 4 inches here, and then 6 hours later, still in the Chicago area, and then it finally begins to exit the region. This is associated with that area of low pressure tracking into Ontario, and you can see it misses Vermont, so we're not really looking at very much here, except for a few flurries. And accumulated precipitation over the next 7 days, pretty limited. We're looking at very light amounts here, under generally 1/4 of an inch and a little over 1/100 of an inch, but not a whole lot to choose from. Looking at the cold air where it is currently, and this is mostly up in the northern and western parts of the country, the high plains, and then back into the Pacific Northwest and into the Canadian Rockies. A little bit colder air starting to work across parts of northern Canada, but for the most part, we have our general emphasis here is going to be that it's going to be either at normal or a little bit warmer than normal. High temperatures over the next 5 days, either at normal, a little bit above normal to our north, and then 3 days later, it looks like we're going to be above normal. This is as we get into toward Thanksgiving. That's going to be weighted for higher temperatures. Note large portions of the rest of the country are going to be running below normal. We're going to be in the place to be. Quick look at temperature schematic here. This from the Iowa State Meteogram Generator, and you can see that we're going to be taking a pretty good dip with colder temperatures moving in for tonight, and then kind of either at seasonal levels, if not a little bit below normal here. The coldest weather we've been moving in for basically Monday, lasting into Tuesday, and then we start to step ladder back up in temperature. And right now, it looks like Thanksgiving Day will probably actually, the European model is giving us some low 50s. I think this is going to be a little bit of a steeper climb. And here's a quick look at the 0Z European model from last night and the 060 GFS model overlaid. And you can see there's lots of model agreement. Generally, coldest weather is going to be the early to mid part of the week, and then we start to step ladder back up in temperature. It's all looking fairly confident at this point. And this is looking west from Mad River Valley toward Sugar Bush. You can see just little remainders of snow on some of our trails. But with rains recently and the warmer temperatures, you can say goodbye to that. And if anything, we're looking at maybe just a little bit of flurry activity on Monday, and that's going to be about it. And a little bit of blustery winds. We'll have to watch for any kind of gradient wind issues. Right now, they look well below thresholds. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.